What's up, guys? It's a brand new edition of the DC Defender Show. I know we normally are out on Tuesday. We're a little late. That's my fault. I guess it was the rain, right, Alex?
It was the rain, buddy, but you know what to do. Hit the music.
Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. The rain episode, that's what I'm going to call it. The week 4 recap and the week 5 preview. We're going to do both shows together instead of splitting them up this week because my schedule is absolutely crazy. And I thank you, Alex, for your flexibility with this.
Hey, you're the brains of the operation. I just show up. So whatever you tell me to do, Mr. Webster, I do. So that's how it works.
Well, you're back from New Orleans. You got a couple more days in the Northeast before we recorded.
That's right. That's right.
So when I call it the rain episode, what are your thoughts? So I don't know if you noticed, and we haven't discussed this. Every week, I kind of have the same title screen, and I call it different things all the way through. This is going to be the game that you're going to remember about the rain, I feel, the most. First of all, did you get the game live locally on your TV? Was it part of your local market?
Yeah, I did. And then when they went to the rain delay, they flipped over to the San Antonio game. And then, or I think was it San Antonio, Michigan?
Yep.
And then when that game went off, I thought they'd flip back and they didn't. So I was scrambling around on the app and I was able to, shoot it to the TV. So I was able to watch it. But the rain, it was just weird because with the lightning and it sort of, throws both teams off really when you have that lull in the middle of the game. I thought both teams did a fairly decent job. I mean, I know we'll get into it more later, but handling the conditions. But it was disappointing, I think, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but we had our chances to win. And that game sort of really played out like it needed to play out for us to win. Birmingham helped us with a couple of red zone turnovers. We were able to do some things. We were more physical. We were able to run the ball with some degree of efficiency. So I think we did it a lot. But hats off to Birmingham. They deserve to win. They made just one more play at the end than we did, and that was the difference.
Yeah. My biggest takeaway is it proves that DC is one of the top 4 teams in the league. There's some question marks, and the fact that they have been the toughest battle, and I know the weather played a part to a certain extent, that Birmingham has faced all year up through 4 weeks. The toughest game was DC, and obviously it took a former Mauler to beat DC defenders.
Yeah, unbelievable.
3 things. We're going to kind of mix up the format. We're going to do 3 things kind of intertwined with everything else. The defense steps up, man. When I look at these stats, you got 5 tackles for loss, you got 4 sacks, you got 3 pass breaks up. It seems like the defense we talked about on the previous show that we were worried about the defense tackling. And Greg Williams said on his show, and we talked about, I can't wait until I hear Greg Williams. Greg Williams said on his show, we're going to tackle when we're in the guys are in the shower. We're going to tackle when we're walking to the car. We're going to tackle when they're eating lunch. They're going to hit anything. And it seemed like it worked a little bit. And that philosophy, he took blame for the week before against the Renegades. He said, I didn't tackle. It was a short week. I tried to keep it light. He goes, but guess what? This week we're going to tackle. So I hope that game against the Renegades keeps this kind of focus with the DC defenders going forward on this defense, because I'm going to tell you something, that defense was pretty damn good.
Yeah. They played well enough to win. I mean, they helped us a little bit with a couple red zone turnovers, but you're right. The tackling was so much better. And a big shout out. I know we'll get to it later, but Anthony Hines, we're a different defense with him in the middle. He was a huge improvement over what we'd seen for the first 3 weeks with him in there getting the majority of the snaps. The stats played out, but we were more physical up front. For all they talked about, Birmingham was able to move the ball. They have a good offense, good balance. But defensively, I thought we played really, really well. There were a few breakdowns. We were the team with 4 sacks. They got none. Everybody's talking about Birmingham coming in the pass rush. We were the team pressuring the quarterback. Defensively, that's probably, even though we lost, I walked out of that game thinking there were a lot of positives for the rest of the year. And you play like this for the rest of the year, and we'll talk more about it later, we're going to be tough to beat. This was, and we also talked about it before the season started, with 3 of the first 4 games on the road. If you can come out of those first 4 games at 2-2, we're 2-2.
Yeah, without a doubt. And of course, we'll get to the preview part, but this is a huge week for the DC Defenders. They can't hang their hat on being almost kind of sort of close to the Stallions. They need to shake that off and move on because we got a huge game this week. So
Yeah, big time, a winnable game. Defensively, very good, physical, tackled better, got pressure on the quarterback. Other than a couple of breakdowns, where maybe the quarterback got loose a little bit. They were tough, played well enough to win.
Yeah, the crazy thing is the 4 sacks because this team hasn't produced a lot of sacks going into this, and to go against quite possibly the best offensive line in the league and to produce a lot of tackles for loss, sacks, proves that we've got the players. We just have to execute, and that's the biggest thing.
Roberson, how about that one?
Yeah,
I forgot he had the 2 sacks, but Roberson had 2 sacks. Hines, you had guys who have played a lot this year, but really haven't, had big stats yet. But those guys really played pretty well. Looking back on it, it just felt different. It felt more physical.
You talked about the linebacker shakeup, and we'll go to your player of the week. But this guy replaced Reggie Northup really in the lineup. Reggie was deactivated, inactive for this for that game against Stallions, and Anthony Hines shined. Talk about your player of the week.
Gig'em Aggies. Feels like he was always around the ball, right?
Don't say that. Don't say that. We are anti-Aggies because I know Josh, the Brahma bullpen, he's a big Aggie guy, and we got San Antonio coming in a week. We can't say Gig'em and root for the Aggies right now. I love Anthony Hines, but we can't support Josh and the Brahma bullpen down there right now.
I hear you, and you know where I'm coming from. Rice Fight never dies. The real football program in the state of Texas. But anyway, I'll give a shout out to Anthony. He was great. Physical, hit, tackled, pressured the quarterback. Felt like he was around the ball the whole game, and he was a difference maker. It felt different in the middle. We were so much more stout. Can't help but think he had a lot to do with it. He was definitely my player of the game.
Yeah. Obviously, we followed the Maulers. He felt a lot like Tizzino. For this past week, where like he was just
game for them too.
Oh yeah, he had a great game on the other side, and that was a reminder. But Anthony Hines kind of did that. Like he found the hole, found the guy, tackled.
Yeah.
And like there wasn't a lot of slipping away from him. Behind the line of scrimmage, a little bit in coverage. Like he did a little bit of everything, and I think he kind of reminded me of Tizzino, who DC Defenders saw firsthand, like is a great linebacker. So if we can get Hines to act like Tizzino, we'll be all right in the middle.
Yeah, Tez led them in tackling, 10 tackles, 6 solos, and Anthony had, like to your on the slide, 11 tackles, 10 solos, and he was a beast.
Second thing, this is where it's going to get a little. Are you ready?
Hey,
because I already know where this is going to go. Do we have a question at the quarterback? I'm going to ask you first, and I'll respond.
No, I don't think we have a question at the quarterback because if we had anybody better, they'd already be in there. Ooh, didn't see that coming, did you?
I didn't see that one coming. I was trying to set you up. All right, so I'll phrase it a different way. What's wrong with JT? It seems like every game he hovers around the 50% mark. He has 150 to 200 yards, never a 250, 300 game. He doesn't turn over the ball. He didn't turn over the ball this week.
Yeah.
He adds a rushing attack. Obviously, he averaged 6 yards per carry, which is the best on the team. He probably leads the team in rushing if I had to check.
Close to it.
What's the most questionable mark for you with JT? Because I know me and you go back and forth, and it's not that you hate him and he needs to go, but it's more like your I guess frustrations are starting to settle in.
Yeah, just the inconsistency with the accuracy, and even making some of the easy throws. And we had that one. We're down 14-12, and we're driving, and it's they've been setting this play up, and it's just a simple hitch and go, and he pumps hard. And I mean, I forgot who it was. Separated from the corner, and you beat Mark Gilbert. He's 10 yards behind Gilbert, and the safety's not even close. I could make that throw today. Webb, I'm guarantee you I could make that throw today. And he throws the thing over the outside shoulder toward the sideline. It's like he's a mechanical nightmare. And like even if you go back and watch on some of these completions, I mean, a couple of times the receivers did a great job of shielding the defenders and coming back to catch balls behind them. Like that rarely feels like anything is on the money. And, we're talking now, this is week after week of hovering around 50%, of missing open receivers. You hit that guy right there, it's a touchdown. It's a completely different game,
Yeah.
and you could see the reaction of the coaches. You could even see JT's reaction. He knew he missed him. But at some point, you got to start performing. You got to start hitting some of those balls. We need some more consistency in the passing game. And like I told you guys on Discord, back in the day, if you threw for 50, it was more vertical. Back in the day, you're throwing the ball down the field more. You got your flat routes, but you got your mid range and your, and your deep stuff, second level, and then your deep stuff. Today, with all these little screens that they pop out, these shovel passes that count as a forward pass to the the guy in the slot coming around, you should throw for 60%. And just week after week of hovering around that 50% of missing big throws, and you just start to think to yourself, when are you going to start to make a play? Because this team's good, but they need JT to be good. He's going to have to be a difference maker. He's not.
Yeah. I understand your frustration. I think he's not turning over the ball, which is a huge asset, as much as some of the other quarterbacks in the league. I believe his legs are a weapon. I believe Jay when we did the season preview said he's the biggest red zone threat. I know he hasn't scored a ton of touchdowns, not like EJ Perry. His accuracy, he was 12 for 22 in a rainstorm. It was a
rainstorm for that other guy. He was 19 of 29.
I get what you're saying. I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm just saying, can we attribute a couple to the rain? And now you're looking at 14, 16 for 22. And maybe I'm a JT apologist, but I believe that the team is best with him as the quarterback. Is he perfect? No, no one's perfect at this level, right, really. But I think he figures out a lot of things and is effective enough to win in this league with the team that's built around him. Yeah. And as long as he's not turning over the ball and he's still he only 12 his completions out of his completions were over 10 yards per completion, which is pretty good.
He started 5 for 6.
I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying yards per completions. Like when he does complete the ball, they are getting big plays. Is that the wide receiver? I don't know. You probably will credit the wide receiver, but he's connecting.
They ran an RPO. He threw a 6-yard route, and the guy ran 46 yards for a touchdown. So the yards after catch were 45, 46 yards. So he did read it right and hit the slant. Yeah. But it's not like he's hitting deep balls with accuracy, the mid-range balls with accuracy. He's not carving up defenses. He can run the RPO and hope somebody breaks one, but we need more from that position. I think he can be a difference maker. I believe in him too. And I hope he can be, because I think he's all we've got. Because I think if we had anybody else we could put in there, we probably would have seen him by now, in my opinion.
The one thing he couldn't complain this week was the offensive line. I thought the offensive line performed well against Birmingham's front, and that's the reason why Liam Fornadell. I told you couldn't pick the whole defense. You had to pick someone when you did your player of the week. So I was like, man, I was about to put the offensive line, but I was like, I can't do that to Alex. So I picked Liam Fornadell, and he was one of the highest pass blocking and run blocking offensive linemen in the league. He was the best for the defenders. He's every week performer, the former All XFL guard. I think he is an asset. I think DeMarcus Hayes. I know I called out our friend of the show, DeMarcus Hayes, and he had a decent. He played well against probably the deepest defensive line right now in the league, and the most effective. Heck, what did they do to the Showboats the week before? 8 sacks, right?
8 sacks.
To give up 0 and not really give up any tackles for loss or anything like that. Everything was positive for 0. Outside of penalties, obviously, but the fact that our offensive line was able to perform at that level against that team tells me that there's room that's coming along finally. So
the run game too. We averaged 3.5 yards a carry for the first time this year, and we've talked about it. If you got 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, you're converting first downs. I mean, that's the minimum of what you want in the run game is 3.5 yards a carry. And we committed ourselves to the runs. Zaquandre White did a great job too. He's got a little burst in there. I think he's a nice compliment to Cameron. Actually, I would have liked to have seen Zaquandre with more carries. I mean, he looks explosive. He could be a guy that really helps us. But we committed to running the ball. Think about all the things we talked about, keys to the game, coming into the Birmingham game. They got to tackle. They have to be physical. We have to try to run the football, which they did. We need to play a lot of 2 tight ends, which they did. Could have won that game. But it's interesting to see it play out and to see like the things that we talked about on the show previewing this game, how many of those things actually came to pass that put us in a position to win. They did a lot of the things we said they'd have to do.
Yeah. Talking about tight ends, they signed Ben Bresnahan back. He was cut in training camp, so they just signed him back. And
See the Vanderbilt guy?
He's the Vanderbilt guy. And they signed a defensive tackle today or yesterday. We're filming this on Wednesday. So Big Joe is out on injured reserve right now. So that's his replacement. I think this offensive line is a work in progress, and I think they're starting to see the lineups and Hayes and Johnson on the outside for the tackles, and the middle has been kind of set all year. It's always been the tackles that have struggled. I think the 2 tight end, I think that's where Ben Bresnahan comes in. I think Bresnahan was considered the better blocker over Caden Smith. Caden Smith's more of a offensive weapon type, and maybe that's where Bresnahan comes in to help out on the offensive line. And they don't carry 6 receivers; they carry 5, and then add another offensive lineman tight end.
Which I'd like to see him do that too. But you're right about Maedi at center, and then Fornadell at guard, and then Durant at guard. They've been solid. They're a good core. You build inside out. So 100% on that one.
Stat of the game: 0 sacks allowed, 4 tackles for loss. It kind of goes along with what we were just saying. So out of 48 plays, 8.3% were bad plays. Not counting penalties, obviously. Week 1, we were at 12%. Week 2, we're at 13%. Week 3 surprised me when I was writing the stat. I thought this stat, when I kind of started to process it, I was like, man, this has got to be the best day of their offensive line. But week 3 against the Renegades, but it's the Renegades. So it's not the greatest defense. It's the only 0-4 team. They just made the Roughnecks look like they're competent. I just feel that maybe that number is kind of going against the best defensive line, and you're at 8.3%, or the best defense, I would say, with Tez, and then you got Gilbert, and I know Scooby's hurt, and all like they have talent all the way through their defense, right? So I feel like having 8.3% of negative plays is a great ratio for this team against probably the deepest team.
No question. 0 sacks allowed. To me, that was the stat. I mean, the fact that they totally destroyed Memphis's front, they being Birmingham, and then we didn't give up a single sack, and we've had protection issues at times this year. That says a lot. So tip of the cap to those guys for getting better. And you remember what happened with the Maulers last year. As the season went on, that offensive line got better and better and better. And by the end of the year, they had a good unit. We've talked about coming into spring ball. These guys don't really get a chance to have, extended time in training camp. We lost a lot of guys from our offensive line last year. Lost 2 starters, 40%. We've talked about it. They're starting to gel, starting to come together. Saw a lot of positive things from those guys, and hopefully that'll continue this week against a very weak St. Louis defense.
Got to throw his shots at St. Louis whenever he can, because they have the arch and the arch.
And the arch.
The third thing, whether the storm delay safety proves to be the difference, we'll talk about the safety in a second. Is this team in the upper echelon? Talking about when you tie it in with are they closer to Birmingham, or was it the weather that kind of made us closer to Birmingham? So that's what a lot of talk on Twitter is that, well, they got lucky. Well, especially from Birmingham fans. Oh, they got lucky because of the downpour and the delay and all these excuses of why Birmingham didn't look great. Instead of just giving a tip of the hat to the DC defenders. Talk about the weather. I know you watched the game live. It was a blessing for me because I was coaching this weekend, and we had a game at 7:00. So I missed the beginning of it, but my game was over, and I got the delay, and I got caught up, and I felt like I seen a good portion of the game before I rewatched it. Talk about the weather and how much, especially from a coach's standpoint, and like have you ever dealt with a weather delay?
Absolutely. Well, never dealt with a weather delay. I was thinking about that. Yep. Never had to deal with a weather delay. So I guess back in the day they just played through that stuff. Who knows?
They
But
did.
no, nothing like that. I mean, I can't remember a time where baseball we did, but for football, a time where you had that delay, and that does break up the rhythm. But I think the key thing to remember is that it doesn't rain on one sideline; it rains on both, and it rains on both teams, and it's how you handle it. And I'd even argue too, just to as far as like Birmingham fans, do they have any? I mean, hell, they're not showing up for games. I mean, that's embarrassing. I mean, honestly. That is, you've got a 2-time Spring Football League champion, and you can't show up for the games. That is absolutely embarrassing. Birmingham should be ashamed. Maybe they don't deserve spring football. Maybe they absolutely move them to Las Vegas. They can be the Las Vegas Stallions and play in that baseball field. Wouldn't be any worse than these guys not showing up for games. It's a joke. I mean, these Birmingham
actually
fans
be better.
acting like there's some dynasty. They don't even support their team. Where the hell are they? They're saving money for UAB season tickets, I guess.
I agree 100% because I knew the rainstorms. I was in Macon, Georgia for this past weekend, which isn't far from Birmingham, and kind of similar weather. And they were projecting the big storms and all that. So did that scare people away? Sure, for actually being in the building, but you can buy a ticket before the building and before that weather. You know what I mean? Before the game starts. So for them to have a paid attendance to not be really impressive, that tells me that no one's supporting the team fully anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care about the weather. Okay, I'll give you the weather for the people that stuck it out for the hour and a half and all that. But when it comes to the actual paid attendance, you're not putting up any more impressive numbers. And you've got the two, like you said, the 2-time champs. You held the hub. You had a hub city. It's not like Houston, which is getting their rip-off Roughnecks. They're getting this franchise they have no tie to. It's not like it's Michigan, who they don't sell tickets till the game before. This is a team that has infrastructure in spring football for 3 years. Hell, the USFL offices were in the city. So, like, you can't tell me that, like, and Memphis and Birmingham have to be the leaders, and unfortunately they are right now, and I believe in attendance for the USFL side, but they are nowhere near any of the other 4 teams. Maybe they could talk about Arlington. When you talk about San Antonio, who hasn't been impressive there, but it's more than Birmingham. At DC, obviously, we're going to see that. We're going to see the Beer Snakes and Lemonheads this weekend. They'll probably show out. It doesn't matter if it's raining. It does not matter if it's raining. They will be there. And then, obviously, St. Louis is always impressive. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, not to stomp on them too much, but that's, I remember Spurrier used to talk about Tennessee fans going home to watch the Jeff Foxworthy show when the Gators were whipping them year after year. I guess maybe Birmingham fans just stay home, watch Jeff Foxworthy, and don't even come out to watch their Stallions. But
and they can't use the A day.
What's that?
They can't use the A day. The same excuse they used the week before for the 12,000 home opener. They can't use A day. They like those excuses. Like, okay, I'll give you one, but like you can't keep coming up with excuses because you know what everyone. You know what the old saying is: everyone has one. And most of them stink because the excuses are like buttholes. Everyone has one, and most of them stink. Like it's as simple as Birmingham stinks.
They do.
Talk about that weather. We had a giant play of the game. I know you. There's a couple plays of the game that stuck out in your mind, but I want to talk about this play, especially from a coach and all that. So let's play. The video is courtesy of the league and Fox Sports. Safety coming back from the rain delay and safety and proved to be the difference. I want to know, as a coach, how do you prepare for that in that weather? I know we talked before. It came out that those kicking balls were out in the weather the entire delay.
How does that happen?
So instead of drying it off and instead of stopping the play, the long snapper just continues to try to work through it, thinking that there is no other solution. Snaps it over the punter's head. The punter makes the right call by not falling on the ball at the 1. He actually picks it up and runs into the end zone. That is the right call because you don't want to give up 6. How does a coach prevent that? from happening outside of obviously like. So what can a long snapper do really at that time if he has a problem with the ball?
Probably at that point when the ball is down, and they, lined up and the whistle's blown, he has to snap it. But I think, I wonder if he got any snaps in on the side coming out of the break, number one. Like, did they get together and get a few snaps in? And then sometimes the ball takes off on you, whether it's wet or dry. I'm sure the wet ball played into this one taking off. But, when I first saw it and I watched Brooks, you can see in the replay, he does shuffle his feet. He does try to get his shoulders over in front of it. Because you'll see sometimes on bad snaps, punters will sort of half-ass it and kind of reach their hand out instead of sliding their whole body over. So at first I thought, when I first saw it live, I was like, Brooks kind of was unathletic in moving over to try to get to the snap. But when you see it again, it comes back high, hard, and wide. And there's not much. I mean, it's just a mistake.
Yeah.
Just a bad snap.
Well, what I was thinking, because Greg Williams actually said that he's the one that released that the balls were outside the entire rain delay again. So
how did that happen?
He said he doesn't know why the long snapper did not raise his hand. He didn't say anything until after the play. I would think as a long snapper, then you got to kind of jump off sides because you're already punting the ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're already punting the ball. If you don't have timeouts, I don't recall if they had timeouts right then and there, but do something to where you can reach out to your coaches and be like, "Hey, this is not working." Instead, first of all, you're a long snapper, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're on the kick, like the 98%. They're kicking, they're long snapping and kicking the ball away, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's your job. So you should know the scenario of, hey, can I back up 5 yards and figure out the ball situation instead of just sitting there and just being like, you know what, I'm going to trudge through it.
It makes no sense. It could be the first play coming out of an extended weather delay.
Yeah.
How in the hell do you get a wet ball to snap on the first play back? You could see it if it had been in the middle of a series or something. They're rotating balls in and out. But I'm talking about the very first play coming back out.
Yeah.
How's there a wet ball you're snapping? I didn't know that until you told me that today, that was the case. And I just thought it was one that got away from him. Wow. That hurts even worse.
You want to talk about your other play of the game? I don't have video for it, but go ahead.
Oh, yeah, the one that got me too, then this was a good one too but if you recall, we were up 15-14. We'd just taken the lead. Tamu had missed a wide open guy that could have given us a touchdown. We had to settle for a field goal, but we did take the lead. We were up 15-14. Did you like the way I weaved that in, Webb? It was 15-14, and about 6 minutes to go, we get a sack. And we have these guys on like their 35, 36 Birmingham side. 2nd and 18. We got a 1-point lead, 6 minutes to go-ish. Clock is running. 2nd and 18. We get great pressure on the quarterback. We all converge at the quarterback. He scoots out, runs for 20 yards, gets a first down. They go down and get a field goal to take the lead. Subsequently, we came back and took the lead. But you think on that 2nd and 18, we get a sack there. Now they're like 3rd and 24, 3rd and 25. You're inside 6 minutes. 3rd and 24, 3rd and 25 is very hard to convert. Yeah. We get the ball back. That was a big play in the game. His scramble getting away and getting the first down, that was a huge play in the game. I remember when that happened thinking, damn, you just kind of this letdown. Like, is that one that we could have started to put that nail in the coffin a bit and let him off the mat? But that was a big one. And then the other big one was in the last drive when we had a chance when we ended up taking the lead, our last offensive drive, we took a lead on the field goal. My Eddie messed up. We that guy for them jumped. He should have snapped the ball. And when that guy jumped, and it was an automatic first down. When he didn't snap the ball, and then Durant pointed at him, then the penalty's on us, and we go back. And now instead of a 3rd and 4 to convert to keep the clock running, it's now 3rd and 9. So that's another one, too, that he just froze. When he saw the guy jump, he should have snapped it right away. They're offsides, automatic first down. We run out the clock and win the game.
Yeah. That's true.
We had our chances.
It's little things.
Yep.
All right. It's a double episode. Week 5 preview. Battlehawks week. We return back to Rowdy Audi for the second time this season, finally. We talked about this multiple times. You had 3 out of the first 4 road games, right? So what does that mean? You only have 2 road games left.
That's right.
Out of the last 6 weeks. So you're going to be home a lot. Battlehawks. we need to find someone. I said stud finder in the secondary. We need to find someone because their passing game has gotten a lot better. They added Ja'Cour Pearson back to it. McCarron is a great quarterback for this league, especially Aitman's a good receiver. They got a running game going. This offense is explosive, and the DC Defenders secondary is statistically the worst in the league in terms of yards given up. What is the fix in the secondary? Because we talked about the linebackers tackling last week, and they tackled. We talked about all season. If you watch our preview episode, we talked about pace a couple weeks ago with Tiamu getting them kind of in a groove. They go do that the last time we were in Audi. It's just things like that. This is the next problem that Alex and Webb are diagnosing. That the secondary right now is giving up a ton of yards. And is that a product of how Greg Williams calls the defense? Or because I think he's gotten better in the last couple weeks, or is it our secondary is just not as great as we thought they were?
I think it's probably more the latter, though. Sorry, the former, not the latter. Because if you think about it, defensively, you could give up 500 yards in a game. It probably wouldn't happen, but you give up 500 yards in a game and only give up 10 points, and your defense did their job. So, when I look at sort of this Birmingham game, they put up 260 yards passing and, close to, they had like 370 total offense or something like that. And, with the running clock, that's like 500 yards. Yeah. Felt worse than that. But we held them to 20 points and went on less than a field goal. So I think a lot of it is sort of this bend, don't break, make other teams take sustained drives. I think our defensive backs with, Conley certainly has been a good addition, and you got Kelly, you've got good safeties. I think Joseph has played very well as a nickel. Certainly he's racking up the tackles. I'm not overly worried about our secondary. I think part of it too is that we do ask a lot of those guys when we bring pressure, we do put those guys on an island. So it is easy to give up yards. I think the key for this week is going to be putting McCarron on his backside. I think they need to hit him. They need to hit him early. They need to hit him often. And, I'd even take a couple of personal fouls if they're getting to him and they can, get to him. Maybe, I'm not saying play dirty. I'm not saying hurt the guy or go after him, but I'm just saying we need to be physical. They're good penalties too, and get after him a little bit, make him feel some discomfort.
Yeah, you've got to get after him, but you also have to stop the run game because McCarron is probably one of the better quarterbacks in the league with play action. And if you can take away that and make it a lot of 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9s, you don't have to protect on 3rd and shorts, the run game and the pass game, because they do have talented receivers, and we'll talk about it in a second. But I think it's controlling the run game and then focus on playing pass defense. Really,
see, you're thinking like a coordinator now to take something away. What are you going to take away? Take away the run game. I like where your head is.
Well, I just think I agree with you. I think we have a good secondary. I think it's a very talented secondary. I think it's asked to do a lot because when you're sending 7, right? You got 5 guys covering 5 guys. There's no one. There's no help, right?
Yeah.
It or sending 6 or whatever. It's tough to play man all the time, and of course you're going to get beat. I think Sean Salisbury used to say, "I don't shoot fish in a barrel, but if I did, it would be like throwing against man." Or he said some crazy statement like that on Monday Night Football all the time.
Yeah, people used to panic when they see 0 coverage. Oh, everybody's coming. That's great. That's when you eat them up. That's when nobody's back there in center field. That's when you tear them up. And when we bring 7, though, that's been a key. Saw more of it this week. I hope it continues. But when you bring 7, you got to knock the quarterback down. You got to sack him. You got to knock him down. You got to get to him. And I think one of the frustrating things we saw earlier in the year is we were bringing 6 and 7 and not coming close. Yeah. And now you're not getting any benefit. You're not pressuring the passer, and then you're putting your defensive backs, out there by themselves. Got to get to him. Got to knock him down. Make him feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, because McCarron does not have wheels. Let's be honest. He probably is the slowest quarterback in the league, in terms of starter. Maybe Luis Perez, but he's someone that you can't like. It's not a moving target. Like Lindsey Scott would be tough to bring down because he's always elusive. Or DeAndre Johnson, if you watched the USFL last season, like even if he wasn't a great passer, he was able to move the pocket and You couldn't always hit it and all that. So
Exactly.
And then offensive outbreak. We have to search for a complete offensive game. We talked about JT before. JT needs to put a game, but like we have not had a game where the running game's going well. I just will be honest with you. Outside of the game when Tiamu kind of became the running back, the running game has been non-existent. Yes, I saw White this past week, and it seems like there's a little spark there, and hopefully he grows and roll. Unfortunately, Darius Higgins, which is one of my favorites, seems to be moved to the third string now. But Cameron Harris, I would like to see Cameron Harris have a game where he has 60 yards.
Yeah,
I think because it gets Tiamu, because you saw Tiamu was effective last year as the offensive player of the year when he had a running game going. He can use the RPO game, and that probably does play into what we talked about earlier in the episode, where like he just feels a little bit off, and maybe he needs that RPO action. Try to almost like McCarron needs to play action, right?
Yeah.
McCarron's more of a play action quarterback. He needs that RPO action. And if you don't have that running part with your running back, he's not a quarterback then, right?
Yeah.
Like that's not his strong suit. So
yeah, I like White. I think the run game this week showed to me the first signs of life for a real run game. Not we rushed for 70 yards and the quarterback scrambled for 50 of the 70. This was like lining it up and actually creating some holes in the middle and guys hitting the holes and running the football. And I'd like to see more White. He glides. Like he runs a bit upright for me, but he's fast. He looks really, really smooth. I think he could be, and that's been the thing that's missing. We haven't had a guy hit one and then hit it big and take it to the house. I'd like to see him get more carries. I quite frankly, to me, he looks like maybe a little bit more of a natural runner than Cam. But if we can build upon this week and the run game continues to get better, we'll be better offensively. I saw finally some signs of life against Birmingham in the run game.
Yeah, and we talked about the offensive line. St. Louis has another pretty good pass rush. The offensive line has to continue to take that step forward, especially the tackles. So right now, gun to your head, who's the number one receiver on this team? Oh, hold on. A little bit behind the curtain. We don't plan question of the week ever. It comes up in conversation and we just throw this nice little fancy video. And if you're watching on YouTube, you know our ads always hit right then and there. So it's a perfect time to, throw a question a week because then it doesn't interrupt the conversation. It just interrupts the video. So who is the number one receiver on this team?
Mr. Harmon. He's tall, lanky. He can catch the ball inside. He's made a lot of tough catches. I think he's got the kind of size on the perimeter that we can exploit defensive backs. I think he's the biggest weapon we've got. He's the closest thing to Lucky Jackson we have in Blair. So I've been impressed with him.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Harmon has shocked me the most because I know he's an NFL guy, but I thought it was going to be Brandon Smith. It's not Brandon Smith. I thought Kiki was banged up, so I don't know if he's fully back healthy. But I'm impressed with Harmon and his big play capabilities. And like you said, we needed this offense is designed for big receivers. It's not like San Antonio, which all has like 5'7" receivers. Like drop off a 2-yard pass and take it to the house. They need that big play down the field, the big target down the field. And I really like Kelvin Harmon. And I'm watching him. I'm shocked that he can't be one of the 5 receivers on an NFL team sometime.
Yeah.
He's that good. So
I've been impressed with him.
Moving on to what to watch for. I kind of spiced it up. I added frames and everything. I know you love this section, so classy. It's the turf. So I picked 3 this week. I'm going to start with the defensive edge, Travis Feeney. He is a force to be reckoned with. He was solid in the USFL 2 years ago. He was solid in the XFL last year. He is solid this year. I believe he has 2 sacks, which leads the Battlehawks. He is constant pressure. He's got the number 56, and I love the number 56. I really do. When it comes to an edge guys, 56, it just goes. This is a guy to watch out for, and this is the matchup with Hayes or Johnson. Jameer Johnson on the outside. This is the guy that if we hear his name a lot, that means our offensive tackles are not doing their job. What do you think about Travis Feeney?
Tough. I'm not impressed with their defense. I'm impressed with Feeney, though. He's around the ball. He makes plays. He's fast and aggressive. And yeah, we're definitely going to have to deal with him. And then if these tackles can't handle him, then that's going to change the protection. Do you have to go, with your 12 package and keep a tight end on his side to maybe, try to give these guys some help, but you just can't allow him to tee off. And he's good. He's damn good. Ben
Bresnahan, maybe. Use that tight end right there. All right. And then the other two are we talked about AJ McCarron. Obviously, he's a fantastic NFL caliber quarterback. He left the NFL team to get playing time. He's a third string NFL quarterback, but he's still nonetheless in his 30s in an NFL job. So he's got to be somewhat effective and somewhat useful. So they've got two receivers here, Marcel Aitman and Ja'Cory Pearson. Both are very different. Aitman's the bigger receiver. Pearson's a little bit more the underneath, I guess, slot, but scat receiver, I want to call him. Kind of like it's a swing to the right and then take it 90 yards. He's the one you're talking about, the yak. Aitman is more of the big play, a big kid. And every time I watch St. Louis, and I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't watched a full St. Louis game. I know you probably have, but I have not seen one, not even week one. His name comes up and I'm like, who is that guy? That guy stands out. So if I had to pick one, it's Aitman. What about you?
Aitman, no question. He's big. He makes a lot of plays for them. He's a good target for McCarron. He's a matchup nightmare because of his size. He's a physical receiver. I've been very impressed with him. He's a quality wide receiver. We're gonna have our hands full with Aitman. Pearson, yeah, he's got that breakaway speed and that threat. But if you said you got to shut down one, I'm going to try to shut down Aitman. He can beat you.
Well, I will give it to Pearson. His first game back this week, he had 10 catches, 70 yards. I would love to have one receiver to have 10 catches in one game, because that means probably my man JT is completing over 50%, and we can go back to that right there. But
there you go. Nice.
If you got one receiver that has 10 catches, probably your passing percentage is up there. But Pearson's almost like Kirkland from San Antonio. He's going to catch the ball kind of underneath in a little slot, a quick diagonal cross, whatever you want to call it, and he's going to take it to the house. And that's what he is. The thing that scares me about Pearson, I would take Aitman. If I was building a team, I'm taking Aitman. But the thing about Pearson is, if our defense is called where everyone is man on man and there is no help, Pearson is a tough matchup for a defense like that, because if he takes one move and that guy's not there, right? He didn't cover him well. Let's say he goes against Mike Joe, and I'm not calling out Mike Joe saying he's bad, but I'm just saying he goes Mike Joe. Mike Joe falls for one little thing and that guy's gone and he can take it to the house.
Yeah, it's true.
So against DC and against Greg Williams, Pearson scares me more than Aitman, if that makes sense.
It's a good argument.
Anyone else that you know on their team that you would watch out for? I know you love St. Louis, so.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a couple of their games. Arlington could have beaten them. I mean, Arlington could have easily won that game in the dome with all the caca and whatever they do. They have great fans that are, really loyal fans to support a non-playoff team. Stop McCarron, put him on his what. Their defense is suspect. We'll be fine. And we're coming home.
Prediction time. I added the flame because I wanted to bring some fire in the background. You predicted 32-26. Usually I'm the higher scoring team. Why so high? We both predict a win, obviously, a one score win.
Yeah.
Why are you saying it's going to be 58 combined points?
Yeah, I think this was a pick with my heart when I did it. I think I saw signs of life on offense running the football, and I think that's going to make a difference. So number one. Number two, I'm taking a gamble that this week JT is going to make me eat my words. He can't be this bad week after week. Sooner or later, he's going to have a hot game. We're back home. We're showing progress offensively. I think St. Louis's defense is very suspect. They can be had on defense. I see us getting 32. Now, their offense is a handful, So I think we're going to have a hard time slowing them down. They may throw for a lot of yards. They may move the ball up and down the field, and it may feel very uncomfortable. We just need to minimize the big plays, make them earn everything they get. I'll give them 26, but we've never lost at home. And St. Louis last year went 0 for 2 against us. We're going to win this game this weekend. And that's going to start the turn. This is where the season shifts for us. The Birmingham game was transformative for us. We were able to get tougher physically, run the football. We're starting to get an identity. We're going to win on Saturday or Sunday, noon, Fox or ESPN or whatever the hell it is, one of those. And the season starts, a 5-game sprint to the end. We're coming out of this thing 3-2 this weekend. That's my stone cold lead pipe. Take it to the arch lock.
Take it to the arch. I'm going to agree with you for the most part. I don't think they move the ball as efficiently as they have in some games. I think DC's defense is coming around. I think the offense, I'm still worried about the offense, to be honest with you. I support JT. I am a man of JT, unlike some other people. And I just feel that they will figure it out. Just kind of like how my prediction was last week with Birmingham. I took them to beat Birmingham because I just feel like this is a team that is a winning team. And if that long snapper doesn't, snap it, or one little holding penalty because of the block in the back late in the game that was kind of close, kind of not, but he can't call it. I know we're not going to go into a rant about over officiating, but what I'm saying is if those two things go a different way, we're talking about Birmingham. Everyone's putting them number 1 in the power rankings, right? So I think you have a team here, and I think the defense is starting to figure it out. I think Greg Williams is starting to figure it out. Listen to his show. I'm telling you, DC fans, come get some with him and his son, because they do a segment every week on the defenders, and you get it right from him. And it's not the, hey, coach, can you talk about the game today? Post conference with Reggie Barlow, and that's no criticism of Barlow. That's his job. Right. Greg is that personality, and like he's going to kind of tell you. Maybe sometimes he's blowing smoke. I guess that goes along with the flame, but sometimes he's blowing smoke. But at the same time, he's going to give you an opinion that you haven't heard, or like with Trey Berry, long snapper, right? Not with the balls being out. Even his son was there, and his son didn't even know that story. So he's telling that story live, and you see his son's reaction, like, what? And then he's like, yeah, the balls were out there the entire time, and like he didn't think. And he's like, I'm glad I wasn't mic'd up. For that, I think this is a team that's figuring out how to win, and I think Rowdy Audi is going to be rocking all the Lemonheads beer snakes. Are you going this week or no?
Not going to make it this week, but I'll be pulling on TV. And hey, does that thing, I know before the season started, you said if somebody could bring their arrest citation to you, you were going to like give them money for getting arrested in games.
I'm going to be honest with you. I never said that, because that would only come from the Dome of Alex. The Dome of Alex would only be able to say that. He is a true beer snake Lemonhead, and an emptied Lemonhead. You know what I'm saying?
I want to see DC Lemonhead's mugshot this weekend. We got to turn it up, man. We got to get after these guys. It'll be loud, and I know the tickets
for legal reasons. That's a joke.
For legal reasons, that's a joke. But yeah, disclaimer. Listen, make it a tough environment. It will be a tough environment this weekend for sure. So that definitely is going to help us. That you can feed off that crowd. You can feel it in that stadium. It's a big deal.
Yeah, Davin Bellamy said when I interviewed him earlier in the season that Audi is different than between the hedges, right? So McCarron played in the SEC. You got to make that field a home field advantage. And if Devin Bellamy is saying it's better than between the hedges, then turn it up a notch and make it Knoxville, or make it something that's absolutely crazy and loud, and make it difficult for McCarron. So
yeah, McCarron played at the second best, maybe third best program in the state of Alabama.
I can't even support you on that one. Like, I'm just going to laugh. Well, thank you for watching this long episode. We wrapped it up in about 50 minutes, Alex. That's pretty good. I was afraid this was going to go over an hour if we just let it go without watching the clock. So
you told me not to talk too much.
Hey, man, you did a fantastic job. I'm giving you 2 thumbs up. I thank you again for your patience with my crazy schedule right now. But and I thank the fans, and I know everyone will watch this. Leave us a comment. By the way, Alex, you have to remind me. Remember a couple weeks ago, I said that I would give a gift card away for that. We got a ton of comments. I'm still going to give people another week to apply. All they got to do is copy the comment above. That's all they got to do. I'll even give you the answer. Bo Jackson, 1986. That's it. That's all you got to type under either this show or the show from 2 weeks ago. Yeah. And you will be entered into the gift card giveaway. And we got to do it live. I mean, we got to do a part of the show. So I know a couple fans have hit me up saying, hey, when are you going to do that? And I'm like, man, I keep forgetting because guess what? I just want to talk football with my boy Alex.
Do you want to sign something, Webb? Do you want to like sign your autograph and put it in there too? So I mean, not only do they get the gift card, but they get like a Webb, maybe a picture of you coaching on the sidelines, with your team, and like sign it like lefty or something.
Maybe I don't know.
I'd get in a raffle for that. I'd put that right here. I'd put a picture of you autographed right behind my head. Look at it every day.
All right, Alex.
It was fun, Webb. It was good. And you know what I got to think? I got to think we are going to go 1-0 this week. And until our next visit, so long, everybody.
Shields up, Webb and Alex out.